Oh, hello there, YouTube. It is I, Stormy. Welcome back. So, while you were gone, I seem to have found myself in a bit of a situation. So, I apparently summoned a disgruntled undead sea captain who says that he's going to leave me to the brisket? I'm not sure what he means, but I have him currently locked in a storage room. But while we read tonight's story by the wonderful u/Darkly Gathers, I'm going to take care of Barbosa in there. All right, you scallywag. I'm the last lighthouse keeper in Scotland. And tonight I set sail out into the darkness. By u/Darkly Gathers. The twisted sound of the abbots of the abyss may have been forced to a close, but the bells of the dark cathedral ring on. I grimace and look to my left as the furious waves crash ceasingly against its walls. The light beyond those blue-black windows of wet, stained glass flashing and flowing. A poor attempt at enticement indeed, I'd say. I'm sure as fuck not going anywhere near the bloody thing. And I dread to think what terrors lurk inside. I hear from behind me the desperate voice of one of the monks, still stood uncertainly on the rock of the island. The symphony of the rain and the wind and the sea is too loud, however, and I'm unable to catch what he says. I swivel in reply with a blast of the shotgun. Another spectacular miss by a wide margin. Piss off, you pescatarian pansies! I mutter through my sopping beard. My destiny is with the door tonight. And she lies ahead. The door. Every time she catches the light of my faithful rotating light, every time that golden reflection shines back at me from her position of the sea, I make sure to adjust my course as best as I can, riding the waves towards her. I am the fire upon the sea, I call out, to no one in particular. My wee boat, a burning and sparking ember of red fire in the cold and dark and the swell of the swirl. I will claim victory over the beast! The sky answers with drums of thunder, and I grimace, wiping the sting of the sea spray from my eyes. As I sail further out across the intemperate waves, leaving the island and the cathedral behind, shimmering white shapes start to emerge from the surrounding water. They are not swimming, nor are they even wet, it would appear. It does not seem that they were ever fully here at all. 5 men with skeleton faces, unconcerned by the blaze of the fire and gliding through the air, drifting legless around and around the boat, muttering and whispering through faded jaws. Oh, honourless wretch, the first begins, hovering by my left as I steer desperately toward the churn. Oh, breaker of his word, he who would abandon his duty at the time of its greatest need. He drifts behind, and a second comes up in the right. His words a winter chill upon my cheek. You have forsaken the bond unbroken of the keepers of the tower. You forfeit your place in their halls in pursuit of a shining door. I keep my eyes upon the reflection. My lighthouse guides the way. The being shimmers away and a third comes up from behind. I feel his breath like frost on the back of my neck. All that glitters is not gold, lighthouse keeper. Your solitude has left you blind. Away with ye, despairing wights of the depths! I roared to a streak of lightning. You'll not silence the spark of my spirit with your cold clichés. I will not turn back, not this day, nor any other. My path is set, and I follow the light. Dogs' bodies such as ye know only the dark of the deep. What advice have ye to offer me? Begone! And bitterly they do, twisting and spiraling, muttering and shimmering and returning to the white grey of the sea forth, lost in the storm. I tug my battered blue coat further around my shoulders. I pull hard on the ropes. The flare fizzles and sputters under the pressures of the rain and the flicks of the tails of the waves. Hold tight, you bastard, I growl to the flame. Hold tight just for a tad longer. You can do it. A naked torso rises from the water to my side, and then another, and another still. I glance down at them. I give them credit. They are beautiful. Hair long and wet, draped down the sides of their faces and further into the sea. Their eyes wide and blue, their mouths coy. Smiles that plead innocence but hint at so much more. They swim alongside, and I see the silver of their scaled tails shining as they glide, keeping easy pace with my vessel. Douglas, the middlemost calls. She tucks a wet lock behind her ear and looks up at me from beneath her lashes. Her voice a river, strong and yet soft. She traces her fingers along the rim of the boat. Douglas Bannerman. It's not too late for you, my captain of fortitude. But the sea threatens to take you, sailor. And she will not be kind. She despises your bravery. She envies your fire. And she resents your masculine, single-minded determination. One of the ladies dips below the surface and swims beneath, appearing up on the other side. She doesn't understand you, Douglas. And she never will, she says. But we do. You can have us, Douglas. We will be yours, and you will be ours. Submit yourself to us, and we can save you. The third joins the first and strokes her sister's hair. She plants a soft and tender kiss on the creature's cheek, and she smiles at me, her eyes pleading. The sea has no power over us, Douglas. She bends to our will, as she could to yours. We could belong to you, Douglas. You just have to reach out and take us. I square my shoulders against the driving rain, tearing my eyes from the glow of their beauty, and adjusting my course. The boat rocks up and around under the duress of the watery siege. Your offer is kind, mermaids, fair from the world below. I call back to them, jaw set. But I have no desire to bend the sea to my will. I ask for naught but a little cooperation, just enough to see me through. I deign not to look directly at the ladies in the sea as I speak, but in the corner of my gaze I spy shadows dark and unnatural forming around their eyes. I can sense them seethe with my sixth sense. And whilst your beauty is enough to take away the breath of any man, land or sea, my heart belongs to another, and will to the end of my days. So thank you, sea maids, but my answer is no. They hiss in response, a frightening scrape of the sound that sends goosebumps shooting down my back. And they scratch at the sides of the boat. I pay them no heed as they disappear back below the waves. tails splashing as they descend down the darkness. The door approaches. The waves smash up against the bow of the boat, and they throw themselves around in a frenzy. As they do so, they drag me along with them. To my right, the sea spouts upward in a sudden pillar of water. I swear in a shout of alarm as it merges with the rain. The waves below forth and part a loud, titanic and terrible tentacle to burst from beneath. A searching, slimy arm of an ancient monster from a time gone by. Water cascading from the appendage as its brothers rise up alongside. They writhe and pulse and arch and convulse in strange and bewildering patterns, blindly reaching out for the potential prey to drag beneath. I duck as a tentacle whips suddenly around and above my head, catching thankfully on nothing but salty air. The monster roars from the deep and the waves drop, only for a moment, and a great and grinding beak, a gaping void of a mouth, hungry and merciless, becomes visible just below the surface. I steer madly to the side, away as best as I can from the lurch of the wavering arms. The monster moans again, and the sound rises to a bludgeoning, watery wail, quickly becoming one with the thunder beyond. The tip of a tentacle finds its way onto the boat, and I hasten over, kicking it away with a well-placed stamps. But I'm on its fucking radar now. Closer, the tentacles slither, seeking me out with an animal hunger. One of them swings viciously down from above, red in the glow of the flare as it comes right at me. I angle the shotgun up high and I send a blast to meet it, splattering a healthy chunk from the tentacle as it careens suddenly backwards in distress. The sea to my right rises and shifts worrisomely, and I get the impression that this colossal monster is adjusting its position. "I won't be your supper tonight, Kraken of the North," I shout loud, firing off another blast as an approaching arm. "I'm not some gawping, defenseless critter of the sea. I will not roll over onto my belly in submission, and I will go neither quietly nor easily into that watery dark should the end be in my sights. You're not but glorified calamari, and you don't frighten me." The Kraken wails, and a tentacle slams into me from behind. The air is knocked from my lungs, and I'm pushed painfully up against the pole with a flare. It's dying now, but still bright enough. Still wet hot enough. I can tell you now. I can feel its icy burn of the tentacle suckers against my back, through my coat. And I bellow in cathartic cursing as I pull the flare from its position and twist, slamming it deep into the tip of the monster's arm. It writhes in panic, trying to get away, but I hold it in my grip, jamming the flare in deeper, smelling the sizzle of its flesh as it peels itself into sharp bursts from the skin of my back, taking a good deal of my lovely coat along with it. The flame goes out. The red of the flare, were it not for its dutiful rotation of my trusty lighthouse, I would be plunged into total suffocating stormy darkness. The scorched tentacle retreats, terrified of this sensation unknown, and I watch as one by one they all lower reluctantly back under the sea of the waves, off perhaps in search of an easier meal. I laugh then. I laugh loud and clear as I grip tight onto the rigging. Lightning flashes for a final time as I come upon the door. The lighthouse beam swings around and the reflection of the golden arches stands tall before me. I cannot tell you what is on the other side, but I can see that it is open. It's a curious sensation, I'll grant. And I won't have to wonder for long. Because with a last great wave from behind, the boat is lifted. I grin from ear to ear and holding steady, my sea legs Tested to their absolute limits, we sail on. Onward through the door.
Hello there, YouTube. Stormy here. I hope you enjoyed tonight's story. If you did, make sure to like and subscribe and comment down below what you liked about it. And if there are any more stories that you would like me to do, make sure to comment those down below as well, and I will be more than glad to check them out. Now, you folks have a wonderful night, and I hope to see you in the next video. If we all survive.